There we go. Better? Better? Is that better? Sorry. woke up, and clearly some things have happened. Sad Mafioso, Bush Baby, Karen, DC, Nikki Lewis. People may have been burned out by now. Nova Scotia 44. Never too busy for 23. I'm thinking. Let's see what, actually, I want to see what the media is saying. So there was obviously a press release or statement from the Dobson family, as well as from Beaton family. I want to see what is coming up in the news. Let's see. All right, we've got daughter. Let's try this one. I want to see what the media is saying before I get to what they're saying. I've been hearing a theme, sadly. You're not glitchy, okay. This is all sensitive stuff. I'm going to try and walk a sensitive line. But I also want justice for people. Daughter of Nova Scotia mass shooting victim says RCMP didn't let her say goodbye. Warning, details in the story are disturbing, as is details in this video. So be forewarned, I will try to be as sensitive as possible. Angela McIver, Elizabeth McMillan, 1107. So we should probably archive this. If you guys come up with something, please let me know over on the Discord. I'm happy to read. 1107 updated 27 minutes ago. I wonder what update was. Daughter of one of the victims of Nova Scotia's April 2020 mass shooting says she believes RCMP officers denied her the chance to say goodbye to her mother as she lay dying on multiple gunshot wounds on rural road. Heather O'Brien was shot in her car by a stranger disguised as a Mountie and a bird. April 19th, 2020, the 19th victim of a gunman during his 13th hour rampage. Her family quickly realized something was terribly wrong because she was on the phone with her friend who heard the nurse and mother of 8 scream before the line cut out. Her friend immediately called one of the O'Brien's daughters who thought her mother might have been in a car accident. Another daughter, Michaela Scott, raced to Plains Road and could see her mother's car against a tree with its doors open. By then, 2 RCMP officers were at the scene and told her it wasn't safe. Quote, the more I approached, the more aggressive they got with me and telling me that I couldn't be there and needed to leave the scene immediately, all while having their guns drawn. Scott wrote in a statement to the Mass Casualty Commission that was released Thursday, along with a document summarizing what happened that day on Plains Road. Constable Ian Fahey was the Mountie who first spoke to Scott. He told the inquiry in an interview later that he told Scott, quote, "You need to go. It's not safe for you to be here," end quote. So she left. Unbeknownst to Scott at the time, the officers who arrived 15 minutes after the phone call had discovered O'Brien had suffered multiple gunshot wounds, according to summaries of their statements released by the inquiry. Thinking that she could still be alive, the RCMP officers initially tried to call for an ambulance or helicopter flight, only to learn that Life Flight or air ambulance would not be flying because of the active shooter situation. Two paramedic trained ERT officers who arrived on scene conducted further checks for a pulse. One of the officers told the inquiry in a recorded interview they did not detect one. Scott returned home briefly, but returned after talking to family members in hopes of getting answers about why there was a tarp or a blanket beside her mother's car. At that point, she said one of the officers apologized, gave her his card, and told her they were conducting a homicide investigation. The day burns in the back of my head, quote, "They took away my right to hold my mother's hand, to say goodbye, to tell her I loved her one last time," she said in the statement. But he told the commission when he spoke to Scott the second time, he could see she was, quote, "very upset." She shared information about O'Brien's death with her based on her knowledge that the car of her mother had been driving and that he could hear O'Brien's phone ringing when Scott dialed it. In a statement released Thursday afternoon, the O'Brien family said that it was disappointed with the information presented to the public regarding O'Brien's death. The family cites disparities in the information from responding officers about the condition of the vehicle, and a report from Fahey and O'Brien had a, quote, "weak pulse," end quote, and was making, quote, "very faint noises," end quote, when he arrived on scene. In an interview with the commission, Corporal Wayne Ivani, one of two ERT officers, paramedic training, who arrived on the scene after Fahey, said that he and his partner checked for a pulse on O'Brien's neck, armpit, and thigh on both sides of her body. They did not find a pulse. The family also cites information recorded by O'Brien's Fitbit after her death. The commission states that it is investigating whether those readings can, quote, "shed light on the events of Plains Road." Shed light on the events of Plains Road. We are disappointed that the public is, quote, we are disappointed that the public is not getting this information and instead being forced to read through thousands of documents to find anything. Reads the statement from the O'Brien family. O'Brien and her Victorian Order of Nurses colleague, Kristen Beaton, who was pregnant and working that morning, were both shot in their vehicles along the stretch of road in Colchester County. Though they were both aware police had responded to killings that night before, 25 kilometers away in Portapique, knew the name of the suspect and what he looked like, they did not know that he was driving a mock police cruiser. Their families have been vocal that the RCMP shared that information, that had the RCMP shared that information with the public earlier, their loved ones would still be alive. The two women died around 10 a.m. The RCMP sent their first tweet about the cruiser, including a photo at 10:17, information that their loved ones soon saw circulating on social media. Beaton's husband, Nick, had been in constant communication with her, providing details about a unfolding situation. Sometime before 9 a.m., Beaton posted on Facebook group for home support workers asking for people to, quote, please be safe and keep your eyes open, end quote. Nick Beaton also last spoke to his wife less than 20 minutes before she was killed. When she stopped answering his texts and calls, he called her workplace, had her declared a missing person, and pushed for her cell phone coordinates to be tracked by police. According to inquiry documents released Thursday, RCMP did not provide Beaton's family with her location and turned a family member away at the scene. The documents show what loved ones of Beaton and O'Brien have always known. Their deaths were completely random, and both cases were unfortunate timing. Speaking with reporters on Thursday, Nick Beaton said he's still not happy with the information shared by the inquiry. He's learning nothing new about what happened to his wife on Plains Road. However, Beaton said he and other families have always appreciated the responding RCMP officers did their best in a chaotic situation. I'm sympathetic to the ones that are working that day, he said. It's easy to read the documents and say, I had done this if I had done that. According to the documents, several drivers witnessed various points of the murders after coming up the same stretch out of Plains Road while Kristen Beaton and Heather O'Brien were parked. Sarah Hughes describes being, quote, pretty much almost bumper to bumper, end quote, with the gunman because he was, quote, pulling in with no blinkers, no nothing, end quote. Hughes said she saw Beaton's Honda CRV on the side of the road. She told RCMP investigators 5 days later how the police car, did not activate its lights to pull over the CRV. The man with her, Adam Griffiths, said he has a, quote, 100%, end quote, certain on his point of view. The pair watched the man, who appeared to be a police officer, stop beside Beaton's vehicle. Quote, when the perpetrator pulled behind, in brackets, when, I guess it would be he, pulled behind, I just remember looking in my rearview mirror because he just didn't pull in behind her like someone would that was a cop. I mean, they usually leave distance, and like this was right up on her. Hughes said she watched the man walk up to Beaton's window on the driver's side. She told police she didn't see what happened next since they were still driving. Inquiry documents reveal another man, Terry Budd, had just finished a 12-hour shift at nearby hardware store when he heard popping sounds. As he drove along Plains Road, he slowed down and proceeded to watch a gentleman shoot windows out of a smaller car, which would have been O'Brien's. The windows out. From about 300 meters away, Bud said he watched the tall man wearing a bright orange or yellow jacket. Bright orange or yellow jacket. Get into an RCMP vehicle and start booking it away from in the opposite direction. By that time, the RCMP officers were in the vicinity. 2 members had been driving the highway towards Wentworth, where a number of victims had been shot earlier that morning, and many More officers, including the emergency response team, were in nearby Glenholm responding to a sighting of the gunman. Various crews rushed to Plains Road to find O'Brien and Beatons in their cars. 10:09, an ambulance had been requested, and one left Truro at 10:18. However, the ambulance turned around after officers on scene confirmed both victims had died. Inquiry documents state EHS did not appear to have, quote, dispatched a vehicle in response to the RCMP request for life flight launch, inquiry documents said. According to EHS, the air ambulance began preparing to move the landing zone to Colchester East Health Center in Truro, quote, as a staging point, quote. Quote, due to the significant safety concerns, it was determined that the best course of action would be to hold them at their base in a ready state, end quote. The gunman continued driving through rural communities, killing 3 more people, including RCMP officer, before police eventually came upon him at a gas station in Enfield, approximately 50 kilometers outside of Halifax, and killed him on the spot. Mental health support public hearings of the inquiry are now on break till April 11th. The inquiry has built scheduled breaks, part of trauma-informed approach. As disturbing details continue to be released about the mass casualty from the Mass Casualty Commission, there are various mental health and trauma support services. Nova Scotia offers online mental health services. Province's mental health crisis line. Okay. 1-888-429-8167. Okay. Now, let's go to the statement. As a family, we have decided that our best, this is from Darcy Dobson, 5 hours ago. As a family, we have decided that our best course of action after today's disappointing hearing at the Mass Casualty Commission is to make a statement regarding the death of our mother, Heather O'Brien. Many months ago, we were given earth-shattering information that we never knew or even imagined possible. When Constable Ian Fahey approached the scene of our mother's homicide, he felt a pulse, and she was making slight noises. You can read this information online through the Mass Casualty Commission's website. You will have to search for it, but it is there. Corporal Dwayne Ivani also attended the scene of our mother's homicide, nearly 2 years after her death. He made a statement to the Mass Casualty Commission stating that initially he felt a pulse, but later determined that this was just his own adrenaline. In his statement, he says she was dead. During the same time, Constable Fahey's statement reads, quote, so we had to let her die. But we had to let her pass on. We knew she liked to. I don't think she was going to make it anyways. So we got a blanket, covered her up, and then went to the road and guarded, end quote. We are gobsmacked for many reasons, but mostly because this information was not presented to the public today. Constable Ian Fahey is the lower ranking officer in this situation. He has nothing to gain by lying. more likely he has a lot to lose for telling the truth. Life Flight was called in for our mother. They never arrived. Many things about Corporal Dwayne Ivani's statement to the commission do not line up with the facts we have on paper. It is in the public's best interest to know how first responders will or will not act in the face of a life or death situation. The truth is, everything is so contradicting. The commission has filled its Plains Road foundational document with many contradicting statements, none more contradicting than the statements of Fahey and Ivani. Compare the two, bracket 2, and you will know exactly what we mean. How is it that Fahey, who was there first, is trying to put her car in park, and then Ivani needs to break the windows to get inside? The same windows that were shot out 60 meters from where her car landed. These things and many others do not add up. We are not pretending to know everything that happened. What we do know, however, is we have supporting evidence. We have all the Fitbit information from our mother's computer that day. Information we did share with the commission, but they neglected to include in their document. This information records our mother having a heartbeat until 6 p.m. We know that this information is controversial. We also know that it has been used in cases in the U.S. to pinpoint time of death. Once again, we are disappointed that the public is not getting this information and instead is being forced to read through thousands of documents to find anything. If it does not fit their narrative, it's not published. Our mother deserves better than this, and so do the people of this province. There are members of the RCMP who were on scene and never interviewed, nor were the members of our local fire department who were on scene that day. This is unacceptable work in every way. We deserve the best chance to know what happened that day. Thank you, the O'Brien family. This is a shocking picture, if you think about it. I know it's not showing it well. That's shocking. It's truly shocking. 6 p.m. That there was a pulse. Six p.m. Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, here you can see it. And I just don't even know what to say. So I thought what we could do, potentially 8 hours later. 8 hours. Again, I think we all have to try to keep somewhat. I liked how well that was written. How, I mean, there must just be going through all kinds of stuff. And yet, cooler heads are prevailing. So Let's just read through some other things. Now, when I was, sorry, one moment. Doing the video this afternoon, or this morning, there was a line in here that I typed up here. That's coming from Burl. I won't refer to the foundational documents. What is in the foundational documents that they happen to blaze through today? Excuse me. Here's the link. Oh. I would suggest downloading it, saving it. We'll read through. Well, let's go to first responders at the scene of Heather O'Brien first. RCMP first responders, this is page 53 of the link that I put there. First responders on the scene of Heather O'Brien's Jetta. And we're going to come back to Kristen and Baby Beaton after this. First responders at the scene. 124, Constable Coleman and Fahey were first on the scene at Heather O'Brien's Jetta. At 10:15:37 on April 19th, 2020, Constable Fahey confirmed over Colchester radio that there was another victim located in the Volkswagen Jetta. 10:15:37, Constable Fahey. We have another shooting victim here. Further down from that first Honda CRV, a Volkswagen Jetta, a male shot. Okay, so there's comms links and all this stuff. Again, I would encourage you to go and download them now, as they probably have a tendency to disappear or get altered. There are somewhat differing accounts of what occurred next. According to Constable Coleman, she went to the vehicle and observed a lone female driver with multiple gunshot wounds. Again, disclaimer that sensitive stuff. She said she, quote, felt for a pulse, however, could not feel anything, end quote. Constable Coleman said at the time EMRT members arrived, removed Heather O'Brien from the vehicle, and checked her vital signs. You get the two statements, and they're hyperlinked. Or we could look at, because sometimes they don't quite add up to what is even in the report, which is sad. According to Constable Fahey, the thousands of pages, the 500,000 plus pages. According to Constable Fahey, he provided lethal overwatch with his carbine readied, scanning. Constable Coleman assessed Heather O'Brien from the passenger side of the Jetta. Constable Fahey stated that fire services arrived at this time and he told them to leave immediately as this was an active shooter in situation and they were in danger. Now, I can understand this to some extent, but obviously their backs are being watched by other people. I suspect their backs of the EMT workers equally could be watched by the same people who are watching the police officers. And funnily enough, if the EMT is there, that frees up the two police officers to now be guarding them as well. Constable Fahey said that at this stage he was approached by a female civilian, Michaela O'Brien, inquiring about the Jetta in the ditch. The civilian indicated that it was her mother's car. Constable Fahey demanded that she leave the area. Hyperlinks won't work, and okay. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, well, I think hopefully I didn't miss this while I was napping. Oh, uh-oh. Oh no. Let's try another one. Maybe I'm just bad with my spelling, right? Oh no. Did anybody happen to grab these? Please, while I was sleeping, I really do hope somebody can tell me yes. Massive docs are still to be uploaded. And somebody let me know on the Discord, please, if we've got this. Did anybody get it? Oh, I can't type and do shows and one last thing I can try. I don't think they're going to be in here. The omission. Shocking. This is truly Truly shocking. I wonder they didn't want to go through the foundational documents today. Which of course, they don't release to the last minutes, and then they pull them down. What's the number on that? We're not seeing it. Like anybody who thinks that this is tinfoil, been talking about it for 2 years now, almost 2 years, 200 and some odd videos. You can't see the cover up. You can see it right here. Fahey's interview. Oh, but don't worry, they'll alter that. But let's read what they do say before that goes poof. And whoever does have them better be sharing them. $128. Constable Fahey stated that he and Constable Coleman then switched positions. His member report states, I went to a Jetta attempt to put in park. The female was barely alive, showing very little signs. Weak pulse, very slight noises. I was preparing to remove her from the driver's seat, and Corporal Ivani, EMERT, arrived and tapped my shoulder and said he got her onto the ground and called EHS or life flight. Both were denied due to safety, and we covered her with a blanket. Again, it's so sensitive, and I don't wish to upset the families, but I figure since there is a post out there about this, they're probably wanting people to talk about it. And if not, I will remove the video. Remember, but you know that she has a pulse. In his interview with the Mass Casualty Commission, Constable Fahey stated, I'm trying to put the car into park, trying to drag her out, and ERT is rolling beside us, and then I get a tap on my back, and it's Dwayne Ivani with EMRT, and he's like, I got this. So we got her out of the car, and I remember him yelling, he's asking for EHS and the life flight. Everything was denied because of the situation. So he just asked for a blanket. We covered her up, and she died. Everything was denied. It's a statement later that is quite troublesome. According to Corporal Ivani, he and fellow EMRT member Constable Jeff Mahar arrived at Heather O'Brien's Jetta and took control of the scene and Constables Coleman and Fahey. He thought it likely that they arrived on the scene by 10:41. Corporal Ivani stated that when he arrived, there was a marked police vehicle parked, and 2 general duty members were standing next to the car with hard body armor on and carbines out. Corporal Ivani and Constable Mahar told them to watch the tree line while they walked down to the Jetta. Corporal Ivani stated that they did not believe that anyone had checked on her yet. He said, I get on the air, quote, I get on the air right away saying I need EHS Life Flight auto launch, end quote. This request was broadcast over the Colchester radio, 10:15:50. If I had the technical know-how, I would pull that up right now, but whatever, bear with me. And relayed to EHS by RCMP dispatch at 10:15:57. The Colchester radio broadcast was as follows. I'm sure they could have played, but of course no. Dispatch EMRT, can you request EHS auto life flight to the highway closer to DeBert accident? This is footnoted by a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see if these things are still here. Colchester radio should be. Okay. Well, I believe I have that, but we'll just take it anyway. Who cares? Just get 7,000 copies of everything. That's fine. Note at 10:14:41, Colchester radio transcript contains the following broadcast. Quote, EMRT is inaudible. 0003860 at line 4900. Corporal Ivani was asked about this broadcast and told the commission investigators, quote, likely that's me just updating that we were with that vehicle. See Mass Casualty Commission, Corporal Ivani. Okay, and I'm pretty sure, like we know, it's gone. Okay, and what did he say that line was? 4,900. Yeah. This stuff is like, this is a complete sham. What's going on? The omission was since the start. That's why I was always not happy about it being called an inquiry. And I tried to warn everybody, including some of the families, about what was going down with some of this stuff. But anyway, maybe some people aren't such a bad guy after all. 4,900. EMRT is inaudible. RCMP, no audio. Okay. Be advised that Carolyn Fisher. Okay, so we'll just leave that for now. As long as you get documents, this is important. Again, the hyperlinks are in there. So let's see what all have they taken down. So we've got mass casualty interview with Corporal Ivani down. We have handwritten notes. Let's try that. Gone? Gone, I think. Gone. Handwritten notes down. Employee training profile, Corporal Ivani. Gone. Okay. Employee training profile, Constable J. Mahar. Not sure why their training profile is something that... This is just what skills they have. That's all it is what skills they have. It's like a resume of what tests they have done. Autopsy for... Well, this autopsy stuff, again, is very, families that can just be a family, and that's totally up to them. If they want that to be known or not. I get that. I didn't ever understand Mr. Ellison's autopsy being up and nobody else's autopsy being up. I didn't understand that. That never made sense. Why would you put one and none? It's either going to be one or none or all, sorry. But to have one was very odd. And I don't know if that was removed due to the families back then in the Portapic situation, and I don't know if that's what happened here. Corporal Ivani stated, when they arrived at the vehicle, the windows were rolled up and the doors were, quote, jammed shut. Corporal Ivani saw bullet holes in the driver's side window. Corporal Ivani walked around to the passenger side and said that door wouldn't open either. Corporal Mahar then broke the driver's side window to unlock the door and open the vehicle. 2 EMRT members removed Heather O'Brien from the vehicle to check a pulse. I'm assuming that the window wouldn't be that difficult to break if there was already holes in it. But fair enough. So the MCC interview with Ivani, I think there was also a member, Ivani, one that's down. Corporal Ivani told Constable Mahar that he thought he felt a pulse. He broadcast over the radio that he had a female that had a pulse and requested critical care unit be dispatched before starting to prepare an airway device, 10/18/52. Oscar Charlie for MRT. We're at the first accident scene. We've got a female. She still has a pulse. Multiple gunshot wounds. C5 redacted. We're going to need a critical care unit as quick as we can. 10/19/11. So whatever, 19 seconds later, life flight has been advised and we'll go to exit 13, which is deferred exit. Colchester radio, C5 redactions are in place to cover up graphic imagery and potentially harmful information. Okay, that makes sense, but are these being overused? That would be a fair question. That only the families can answer that, and that's totally up to their opinion. But are they just throwing C5 redactions in here sometimes when they need not be there? If you follow what I'm saying? To protect? Mass Casualty Commission interview, Corporal Ivani. Okay, well, that's poof. According to Corporal Ivani, due to the severity of Heather O'Brien's injuries, Constable Mahar suggested that Corporal Ivani may be feeling his own pulse, strengthened by adrenaline. The 2 EMRT members then performed a systemic parallel check of the pulse at her carotid, brachial, and femoral arteries for 10 to 15 seconds each. They did not detect a pulse. Again, I would refer to that, which seems to contradict that. Fair enough. Well, it's not fair enough. Got to stop pacifying on this stuff. Due to these findings and the severity of her injuries, he determined that Ms. O'Brien was deceased. Corporal Ivani explained the situation as follows in his interview with the Mass Casualty Commission. And I went to feel for a pulse because I had observed gunshot wounds, redacted, fair. But at first, I did not notice any immediate gunshot wounds, redacted. So I thought I could feel a carotid pulse, but I was in error using my thumb. I don't know anybody who's taken first aid. You don't use your thumb, you use 2 fingers. And as soon as I thought I felt a pulse, I updated. I get them here. Get EHS here right away. We need the critical care unit. Multiple gunshots. And quote, and then I could see that she was shot. Redacted. This is obviously something he couldn't see, apparently. I indicated multiple gunshots to redacted, and that's when I was looking down at her, and Jeff's like, whoa, whoa, because I'm grabbing my airway because I want to establish the airway because I thought she had a pulse. He goes, no, no. And he could probably see that I was reaching for the top, and instead of using my fingers, I was using my thumb. And he could see that what he was seeing didn't make sense, that I was feeling a pulse from the nature of the trauma that he was observing. He goes, whoa, 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 calm down a sec. Let's do a check on her. And that's when I kind of take my breath, try and refocus, because I had an adrenaline spike and I've got a little bit of tunnel vision. Not totally, totally aware of everything that's going on around me, hoping that the other officers are watching my back. We're now engaged and looking to see what we can do, if anything. And Jeff's like, okay, no, I don't think she has a pulse. Look at her injuries. So then it's like, okay. So then I start checking with my fingers, and I'm like, okay, let's do a toe check for on the pulses. You get on that side, confirm on the right versus left. I started to do the left side of her. Jeff was checking on the right side of her. We started with the carotid pulse on both sides bilaterally. Neither could find a carotid pulse. I said, okay, let's go to the brachial. We didn't do radial underneath the bicep checking for a pulse. Couldn't feel a pulse. I said, okay, we didn't do. Okay, one more left. Just check femoral. I'm just reading what it says. It does say we did do. Sorry, we didn't do. We didn't do. Okay, one more left. Just check for femoral. And we went down and checked femoral. Pushing it against the femur. Could not feel any pulse there. I said, okay, let's check the pupils. So I went up. You could see very clearly that she had an entry point of gunshot wound blank. The pupil is fixed and dilated. So the light on her eye, and there's no response of the pupil to the light, no stimulus. It wasn't open or closing. It was fixed, redacted. It's at that point that we indicated that we've confirmed that we don't need EHS. She's confirmed 10-7, which is actually their code to get off. Deceased. So they called her. The RCMP did. Then you have the footnotes. Mass Casualty Commission interview, which gone. Handwritten notes, gone. C5 note. C5 redactions. Okay. Graphic stuff. Note, the commission continues to seek Corporal Ivani's after-action report on the incident. Note, the commission continues to seek an interview with Constable Mahar and his after-action report on the incident. Note, the commission is investigating whether the readings on Miss O'Brien's Fitbit can shed light on the events of the Plains Road, on Plains Road. What the fuck is that? Pardon my language. Where are the RCMP briefings of these people? Why is the Mass Casualty Commission taking these documents down? I can't understand the sensitivity to the families, obviously. I try to always be as sensitive as possible to all of the family members. However, I cannot understand allowing this bollocks to continue. When all families should be utterly outraged. This is a sham. And the Mass Casualty Commission, the people who are participating in this, should feel very ashamed. I said at the end of today's broadcast that Justice McDonald looked very, very pale. I believe I understand specifically why, more so, at least in relation to today, he was like that. I literally said that in my video, in the chat. He's so pale. Continuing on. 10/23/30. Corporal Ivani updated Heather O'Brien's status over Colchester Radio as deceased. 10/23. Inaudible from inaudible. What does that mean? Where's the recording? Again. Our female 10/7. Do you have anyone providing treatment with inaudible to gunshot wounds? After assessing Heather O'Brien, Corporal Ivani and Constable Mahar then drove to the scene of Kristen Beaton's CRV. They were informed by ERT members had already determined that Ms. Beaton was deceased. They did not exit their vehicle, and they continued to join ERT members staged at Highway 104, exit 13. Constable Coleman and Fahey remained in the area. They cleared the industrial park from Heather O'Brien's Jetta, while ERT cleared Plains Road scene. RCMP members from Major Crime Unit were advised Constable Coleman and Fahey to stay and contain the scene location. They blocked off the southeast end of Plains Road. Constable Coleman stated that Michaela O'Brien approached the scene and her vehicle was turned around because the area was not safe. Constable Fahey also stated that one of Ms. Beaton's family members approached the scene and spoke with Constable Coleman. He was similarly told to leave. At approximately 10:17, Michaela O'Brien returned to Plains Road scene and was recognized by Constable Fahey. According to Constable Fahey, he explained to Michaela O'Brien that the victim was her mother, that she was deceased, it was a murder, and she was not in any pain. Constable Fahey indicated that he took her name and told her to return home with her family. I'm going to have a tough time sleeping. I'm really going to have a tough time sleeping. After looking at that Fitbit, and to say that she was not in any pain, to send people away, what are you doing? To calling people, I don't know if that's within their purview as RCMP members to literally call code on somebody. Constable Coleman and Fahey stayed on scene until approximately 2 p.m., at which point their shift ended. They were relieved from duty and went home. By 10:09, first responders fire EHS. By 10:09, April 19th, EHS had been alerted to the situation on Plains Road. An ambulance had been requested. 10:12:54, Valley Communications sent a call to the Bird Fire Brigade to respond, as it was unknown if the situation involved entrapment in a vehicle. I think this was all the business about possible accident, right? When the firefighters arrived on the scene, some of this, Constable Fahey told them to leave as the scene was not safe. The fire report indicates that the RCMP requested that the Burt Fire Brigade clear the scene at 10:19:49. Before the firefighters left, Corporal Ivani asked them to speak to for an emergency blanket to cover Heather O'Brien. Oh, before you go, even though you could help here, could we get a blanket? 6 p.m. 6 p.m. 10:20:47. RCMP dispatch called EHS updating the injured female at Plains Road was not breathing, but did have a pulse. Let's see, is this in here? Okay, well, might as well get that now. I'm sure I have umpteen million copies of this stuff. Transcript of 911 recorded phone calls. I believe I have that. I do. 10:27:19. The OCC received an incoming call from the supervisor of the EHS dispatch. EHS dispatch indicated that EHS unit was heading to Plains Road and sought to confirm that RCMP members were on scene. Are we going to be safe? Confirmation was provided that police were on scene and that EHS was clear to attend. Come on, guys. Come and help. We need help here. However, Corporal Ivani stated that each scene that day was only safe for EHS to. This part. What is this? Corporal Ivani stated that each scene that day was only safe for EHS to attend once they have received a report of another engagement. Quote, so that place wasn't safe for EHS to go to until we knew that we had a new shooting and he wasn't there. Excuse me? Let's think about this again logically. Just logically. What about if you're the last victim in this scenario? And that type of mentality is used. And let's just say the suspect is outstanding at this point. Well, no, we cannot have any EHS come because nobody else has been shot yet. So we're just waiting until somebody is shot. And then you can come. How does that work exactly? Of course, people would die. That makes no sense. 10:28, Corporal DeCoste radioed EHS was at exit 13 and asked EMRT whether the ambulance was needed. Corporal Ivani indicated that the ambulance was not needed because the female was deceased. Again, I don't want to pick on somebody, but this is not right. And when it's not right, questions need to be asked. And if you're going to do this kind of bullshit and not ask questions and say things like, what was it? Where was that? Oh, whatever. What I said in the video today, where Burl said, he literally said, we're not going to go into the foundational document. You know why you don't want to go into the foundational document? Probably something like this. Do you figure? So then it's just better to do this. What's going on? The cover up The cover-up. The cover-up. Uh-oh. Where else do you think this might extend to? At 10:28:37, Corporal DeCoste, radio EHS at 13, deceased. 1:44, between 10:30 and 52 and 10:33:48, EHS dispatch indicated RCMP dispatch that an RCMP member in an unmarked police car at exit 13, Highway 104, was saying that it was not safe for EHS to go into DeBert. OCC dispatch confirmed that it was safe for EHS to enter DeBert, but both females were deceased. As a result, an ambulance was no longer needed. Similar confirmation was broadcast over Colchester radio using the 10-7 code, which is officer off duty, or I guess they can use it as deceased. Dispatch EMRT directly advised both subjects 10-7, non-inaudible. But don't worry, the whole thing is inaudible. Do you know why the whole thing is inaudible? Because you can't hear it. Like the interviews, like the tapes. Inaudible. Can't hear. What you can do is read with scanned documents, not searchable, downloadable one by one, 500,000 plus pages. And do you know what the commission has? Oh, the AI tech they've got, something extra special, something you can't even imagine. This is what we get. This is what families get, something somewhat better than this. Depending to read through this stuff, knowing something like possibly your mother was alive until 6 p.m., 8 hours later, and to have to rifle through pages and try to keep up with facts, when all that you have to do in this system, hopefully in an ideal world, is rely upon 3 people who will do the right thing and say, you know what? We have children, or we have nieces, we have nephews. We could understand how that could feel. We have mothers. We wouldn't want that to happen to us. Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's have the best of the best. If something's not working out, okay, let's just say that it's not working out, it's a mistake, and move along. Instead, no, let's do this. Let's not go through the foundational document, as Mr. Burrell says. I'm sure you're glad for a conclusion, like he says. The narrative, like he says. I don't really know. It's a work in progress. It's still coming along. If anybody could give us some details, we'd appreciate it. But you're going to spend hours on a burnt stick? Really? Really? Okay. Because that's more important. EHS received 911 call at 10. I still, even the use of 10-7 is also somewhat disturbing, but I'm not sure if members are using that now to describe other people. It's definitely like if they're checking out for lunch or whatever, like that's the way that it's used that I'm familiar with. EHS dispatch received a 911 call at 10:08:52 that they were assigned 10:15:31, responding ambulance M108, driven by Andrew McCulley, left Salter Avenue in Truro 10:18 and arrived back at Salter Avenue 1048, EHS appears not to have been dispatched a vehicle in response to RCMP's request for life flight launch. EHS appears not to have dispatched a vehicle in response. According to EHS, Life Flight began preparing to move to the LZ in the... Like, where are we living? Come on, man. Helicopter come, land, pick up person who is hurt. To the LZ. At the Colchester East Hunts. I don't know if this makes people feel like they're smart because they talk like this. No. It's actually quite clear, the intelligence that's going on. LZ at Colchester East Hunts Health Center as a staging point due to the significant safety concerns, as it was determined that the best course of action would be to hold them at their base at a ready state. Let's go over to Mr. Beaton's part. Then I have a couple of articles I'd like to share with you that may shed some light on some other things. Hopefully that has been emailed to me. Checking. So reliant. Thank you. I believe that is, yes, great, fantastic. Okay. Thank you ever so much to that person. Loading. I don't feel they're digging in enough. Husband of Nova Scotia woman killed in mass shooting, angry after day at inquiry. Heidi Petraic. Thursday was the first time Nick Beaton came to the proceedings, public proceedings, being held Please stop with the word. Stop. Start using 23, start using the word homicide, and stop using the word inquiry, because it ain't. It never was. Thursday was the first time Nick Beaton came into public proceedings that were held in Halifax by the Nova Scotia Mass Casualty Commission. And he said he was only faced with disappointment. That day, the commission outlined its findings of fact so far regarding what led up to the killing of his pregnant wife, Kristen Beaton, by the gunman responsible for Nova Scotia's April 2020 mass shooting. Has this even been firmly established? These people have been running cover so much for other things that I don't think they even know. Beaton says too many details were left out of the omissions presentation, like the events, like what Kristen Beaton was told by the police after he rushed to the crime scene looking for his sister, Kristen's brother. Quote, the information he was told at the scene is that there's a young female left with chest injuries, says Beaton. Quote, Kristen's brother called me right then and said, Kristen might still be alive. It gave us hope. Beaton says Kristen's brother even went to the hospital looking for her. The family hope vanished when RCMP notified the family of the homicide 8 hours later after she was killed. But during the Thursday public presentation, senior counsel for the commission, Roger Burrow, stuck to his overview of the omissions timeline of events in the morning of Sunday, April 19th, 2020. The presentation picked up where it left off the previous day, detailing. How much detailing is going on? Like this kind of detailing, you got to take out half an hour or two for the break-a-roonies because there was a breakdown. Things were going badly. Detailing. Thank you for your heavily detailed stuff. Some reporter right at the beginning said that about 3 pin marks in the map. I'm like, what? The killer's movements after he killed the 17th victim, Lillian Campbell, on the side of the Highway 4 where she was going on her morning walk. Information gathered by the omission shows how close RCMP officers came to the suspect in his replica police car that morning. In fact, one officer, Corporal Rodney Peterson, passed the perpetrator on the highway going the opposite direction, telling dispatch the guy was driving slow and smiled as he went by. Peterson did not immediately turn around to pursue the suspect, who disappeared from view. The time was almost 9:48, and the perpetrator appeared on the security cam footage of the residence, the Glenholm residence, after. The footage shows him as he approached the door, walking with what looks like a gun. The couple inside frantically called 911 and reported that he was banging on the door. Surveillance footage from the video, it's not surveillance footage, it's surveillance stills that are clipped. Timestamps removed, date stamps non-present, from the property indicates that the gunman only stayed a little over 2 minutes. How do we know that? How do we know that? I never saw anything that proved that at all. Even if the clock, of course, which of course it's off, we don't have another reference. There's only one reference point for a time. So that must be based on what they tell us, the omission. By the time RCMP officers on the ground and the DNR helicopter is in the sky arrived at the location, less than 10 minutes later, the suspect was gone. If it was, in fact, then they could show that. It's very easy. Then I can just say, okay, whoops. At that point, surveillance video shown by the omission indicates, do you see why they do that? Like, do you see? They don't call it the inquiry. They don't call it the inquiry. They know that they're not telling you true. They know it. Somebody's going to sue the pants off these people one day. At that point, surveillance video shown by the omission indicates that he was traveling on Plains Road in nearby Tibert. That's where he encountered VON, the Victorian Order of Nurses, continuing care assistant Kristen Beaton, parked in a gravel area on the roadside. According to her husband, it was normally seen as a safe place to pull over and break in between client visits. Beaton and his wife had been communicating back and forth in text messages and phone calls about the situation, which they knew from social media had unfolded in Portapique the night before. Beaton told his wife in a text, quote, "If you see someone walking, don't stop." At 9:37, Beaton sent his wife a photo of the suspect sent out by police. But when RCMP knew internally to be on the lookout for the suspect in a cruiser, the force didn't alert the public until the fact at 10:17, but they knew SOC the night before. They knew exactly who it was. Why did they sit on this name for so long? Why are they sitting on Lisa? I mean, whatever. I'm not going to try and go off into other places, but honestly, quote, if we had known, if she would have returned home, there's no question. I believe that with every inch of my soul that she would have been at home if she had known, says Beaton. Instead, the last time Beaton spoke to his wife was on the phone at 9:41. Around 10, a witness driving by on Plains Road reported seeing a suspect in his cruiser pulled up beside the vehicle at some point where Kristen had pulled over. According to the forensic report, Beaton was shot through the driver's side window of her vehicle at the same time VON nurse Heather O'Brien, on a day off, was parked on the same road 320 meters ahead, talking on the phone with a friend and colleague, Leona Allen. Allen later told the commission O'Brien had mentioned hearing gunshots and seeing a police officer. Then Allen heard the friend scream. The call ended, and she could not reach O'Brien again. The commission says, according to forensic evidence, burnt sticks with duct tape. Investigators determined that the gunman also shot O'Brien through the driver's side of the vehicle. Where's the ballistics? It took several hours for the omission to present its information of what happened on Plains Road before it wrapped up for its day. It took several hours. No, it didn't. I was here. A bunch of you were here for sure. Been a long day for all of you, too. How long was it? 2 hours. 1.5 hours. It was not several hours, Heidi. Sorry, not several hours at all. What happened on Plains Road before it wrapped up for the day before noon? Well, if it's before noon, that maximum of time it could be would be 2.5 hours with no breaks. Several hours. Beaton remains dissatisfied with the commission's work so far. I don't feel like it's really doing what we marched and fought for, he said. I think they're just scanning what's already out there. All. You think that might be the truth? How long do you think they've been sitting in here watching? Watching everywhere. Facebook, tweeters, Project Wide Awake. The omission's public proceedings will resume the week of April 11th. Okay. Let's have a read through what they want to say in that report. Was not logged on to the mobile workstation. Okay. I don't log in. Don't you know? One moment, please. Kevin Ashley and Wayne Skipper Bent. Coming from the north. One moment, please. Corporal Sutton, Wall, and Briseau. And there are these things. Note, the commission has not received GPS data, vehicle 22K05 driven by Constable Huxley. These notes, which are just kind of down there and slightly grayed out. All over the place. No, we're asking, but we're not receiving. Then shouldn't they be saying? who's getting traumatized? Where is it here? RCMP first responders at the scene of Kristen Beaton's CRV. RCMP members arrived at the pullout at Plains Road 1014-15, April 19, 2020. Constable Ashley made the following broadcast regarding Kristen Beaton's CRV in the pullout and Heather O'Brien's Jetta in the ditch. Constable Ashley, I got a Honda CRV. We got a female occupant leaning over the front seat. I need an ambulance now. I'm not sure of any vitals or not. Okay, we're telling them to head in when they get there. We have them on their way. Constable Ashley, I also have an ERT member here, and there's another police vehicle just down the road. We're gonna just check that one. It's in the ditch. Okay, I believe Constable Bent is also there. Skipper Bent, the family liaison. Police Dog Services member Constable Hubley, arrived at the Plains Road, pulled out, seen ERT member Constable McLeod. Constables Hubley and McLeod both have quote advanced medical skills, as this is standard. This training is standard. What is it called? Part of block. That's even basic member training. Block training. Standard PDS member. And Constable McLeod was completing training to become a tactical medic. Constable Hubley retrieved his medical kit in order to provide first aid to Kristen Beaton. He could not find a heart rate on her wrist, at her brachial point, or at her carotid artery, and she did not show signs of life. Constable Hubley removed Ms. Beaton from the vehicle. Constable McLeod checked for Constable Hubley removed her from the vehicle. Okay. Constable McLeod checked for a pulse and could not find one. With Ms. Beaton out the vehicle, Constable McLeod could see that her wounds would likely be fatal. Well, that's gone too. Hubley's search statement, gone. How about Constable McLeod? Oh, that's gone too. Okay, so clearly this is not, I don't think, something to do with families. Like saying, those details are really dramatic. No, this is just people pulling things down. How about Mass Casualty Commission of Constable McLeod? Oh, that's gone. Okay. How about, we've already done Ivani. That's toast. Okay. 1019 Constable Hubley broadcast over Colchester Radio, woman in SUV at pullout, a quote, a female approximately 30 years old and quote, was unconscious, not breathing, and had no heart rate. 10 seconds later, OCC dispatch, DPO2, placed an outgoing call to ambulance dispatch, updating them on her status. After concluding Kristen Beaton was deceased, constables Hubley and McLeod departed the scene to continue searching for the perpetrator. Okay, so the search statement from McLeod, that was gone too, right? Okay, perfect. All right, now, two articles I wanted to share. This is just for illustrative purposes only. Mission woman with gunshot wounds left dying for 4 days after 911 call. 2011. For 4 days after being shot in her mission. No, I don't want your stuff. In her mission home last September, Lisa Cheryl Dudley sat gravely wounded, unable to move, glued to her chair in her own pooling blood. I mean, come on. I don't even know where this article is now. Has this disappeared? I'll try and find that and bring it to you. Okay. Let's try. Is this one going to work? Where's the other one? Thank you for emails here. I got emails from a couple of people. Really appreciate that. Some new people. Okay. There's a couple of stories that I'm aware of that kind of are sadly in this vein. All it is trying to get things better for in the future, right? Because you can't really fix what happened yesterday, but you can't keep running around pretending that there's not a problem. That's not good. And just kind of giving free passes around. There's a lot of people getting hurt. Okay, let's go back through some of your comments. All kinds of stuff here. Ooh, well, lots of stuff here. Okay. I didn't swear my oath to watch others non-nonsense. I'm not sure, Marty, what you're saying. Okay, let's see here. Marty's quite active. All right, now, hello all. Hello. For fuck's sake, emergency services refusing to respond, says Marty. Karen, the public statements by the O'Brien family in the last hours, Nick Beaton's statement, are too heartbreaking. Right, sorry, thank you for that, Nick Beaton's statement. My apologies. Right, 1 second. That would be very wrong not to read that. There is a new story. Did I not read that story? Okay. Okay. Now you all partially know what I've been so upset and fighting so hard. It's almost been 2 years. Should start to move on. Well, welcome to 2 years of hell and upset. Kristen Beaton was reported to the RCMP as a missing person 11:52, but, quote, at the request of the RCMP, the information regarding Ms. Beaton's location was not provided to Ms. Beaton's family. At the request of the RCMP, the information regarding Ms. Beaton's location was not provided to Ms. Beaton's family. That makes sense. VON told at dinner time, Kristen was killed, and we're told not to tell me or they would be charged. I didn't get told until 5:50. Oh, this sounds so familiar. Oh, okay. Does he have more in here? And then he links an article. Is this the article we read? Oh, it's a video. Okay, well, we'll watch it. Let me run through the ad here. One moment.
Of a pregnant woman killed on the side of the road is angry with the inquiry examining the tragedy. Today, details were revealed about events leading up to the murders of Kristen Beaton and Heather O'Brien, April 19th, 2020. A warning, this report contains disturbing details. Here's CTV's Heidi Petracek.
I don't feel they're digging into it enough. I really don't.
It's the first time Nick Beaton has come to the inquiry, only to be faced, he says, with disappointment, as the Mass Casualty Commission outlined its findings leading up to the killing of Beaton's pregnant wife, Kristen, during Nova Scotia's 2020 mass shooting.
The information he was told at the scene is that a young female left with chest injuries.
That's what Kristen Beaton's brother learned after rushing to the crime scene that Sunday in April. One detail among many Beaton says should have been addressed today.
Kristen's brother called me right then and said Kristen might still be alive. Gave us hope.
That hope gone when police notified the family 6 hours after that. But today, the commission only continued its timeline of events that morning, and Times RCMP officers came so close to the shooter in his replica police car that one actually passed him on the highway.
Guy driving slow, smiled as he went by, white Caucasian male.
That was around 9:48 a.m., the perpetrator heading to a Glen home residence. He approached the door holding a long gun. The couple inside called 911.
Break for dispatch. We have the SOC at 2896 Highway 4 in Glenholm.
By the time officers and a DNR helicopter got there less than 10 minutes later, he was gone, about to kill again. Encountering VON worker Kristen Beaton parked on a roadside in Debert. While police knew to be on the lookout for the suspect in a mock police car, RCMP didn't warn the public of that fact until a tweet at 10:17 a.m.
And I mean, if we had known, then she would have been home. There's no question. There's no. I believe that with every inch of my soul that she would have been home.
Instead, the killer pulled up and shot Beaton through the car window. VON nurse Heather O'Brien, on a day off, was parked on the same road a distance ahead on the phone with a friend. The last thing that friend heard was gunshots and a scream.
I don't feel it's really doing what we marched and fought for.
After today, Beaton says he's still not sure the commission will do what families had hoped for, create change after tragedy. Public proceedings of the Mass Casualty Commission are now on pause until April 11th. And after that week, it will take another pause because that week is the anniversary of the tragedy. Todd.
Hard to believe it's almost 2 years. Heidi Petracek covering the Mass Casualty Inquiry for in Halifax. And late this afternoon, the family of Heather O'Brien released a statement expressing deep disappointment with the commission and what they call contradictory statements.
Notice that they cut out the time on that video too over in the at the cigar hut. They were the original ones to show it. I guess they don't like it now. MCC is not trauma informed at all. The trauma they're causing now families is almost as bad. Oh, it's way worse. Way worse almost. Yeah. Because it just drags on and on and on and on and on. Because all you could do is just give these people an answer 2 years ago, or sorry, year and a half ago, probably get it settled half a year ago, and there you go. But no, and then just remove documents, hide them, draft them, secret meetings, things. Don't allow them to see things. Don't allow us to see things. Don't allow people to help people, talk trash behind their back. It's great. Wonderful stuff going down here. Lots of people feeling good. It feels worse once the O'Brien statements made public, made today. News story doesn't tell the entire truth at all. Back in the blue. Yeah, you know, we grew up back in the blue. Sports police are good, like Tara said. I remember taking Charlie. You can sit in the car. MCC statements kept their presentation to a minimum today. They did not reflect any information the Cares Freight read about, resulting in their need to speak about it publicly. Well, because he said, quote unquote, I don't think we need to go through the document. No, hello, Annie. Criminal negligence, absolutely. Eventually, 8 hours later, speechless. It is a horrifying thought. You know, you have to take a breath and think about that one for a minute. It is really horrifying. Please share her story far and wide. It has been put out for the family to raise awareness of what they're experiencing. Yeah, you know, and yeah. Diversifier called off at 10:13. I appreciate that, Nikki. Thank you. Thank you for the sharing. I appreciate sharing because it keeps the eyes on it. Even though I don't know how many did today, but I mean, this is not unheard of, like back at the beginning. Just go along, you know, tell the truth. That's what's going down. So sad. Try to find it. Hope she wasn't aware of what was happening. Yeah. But they knew she was in no pain. Really. Hello, Terry. Julia. Anita. All the families terribly impacted. Hyperlinks don't work. Just blown away. Oh, okay. Thank you, Humble Hermit. I appreciate. I'm humble too. How about that, Humble Hermit? So I appreciate your nice comment. Very nice. Hopefully we're all drawing together. And I think there was some faith had in things and things may have been believed that weren't in fact so. Maybe some statements made by certain people. Ivani and Fahy attended lots of MVAs, and Nova Scotia makes you wonder how many died because they said they weren't. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody specifically, but if they have the right to represent themselves publicly and should, right? Clear it up for everybody. Don't run and hide. That's never a good thing at all. No compassion, all armor. Man, they are so sneaky. They have 8 documents so far supporting Plains Road Fire Department. Perhaps you can send me something about that, Nikki. Appreciate it. Oh, check my messages. I think I did. These are old, so thank you for sending me stuff. MCC has a staff of 60 just to screw with your streams. It isn't just my streams, it's my streams, you know, and that's what's troublesome. You share stuff in here, any which way you save it. You know, I save it in a private thing. Doesn't matter. Some things. No, there's nothing private. And as RCMP blew up my underwear, I want my underwear back, knows all too well, there's nothing private on the internet. Zero. There's nothing private on my phone. 100%. I'm not shitting you. 100%. I have tons of proof. Tons. Sad. Why? Watch the victim die. Let the perp live. No exaggeration. Something going on. Again, something very funny. BS time zones. Autopsy Beaton's gone. That's fair enough. That's fair. That's probably family prerogative. Absolutely. If they don't want those kinds of things in there, I totally understand. They are already going through a lot of stuff. They're all gone in that foundational document. Why do interviews taken after the fact, timestamp, yet 911 calls have to be stripped of them? Yeah. Why are the 911 calls missing? And I'm sure there is some way that autopsies can be done in some tactful way that still would shed information. There's a hyperlink there for Beaton 2. Doesn't work. Okay. They just seem to get confused on their own adrenaline, according to their Facebook post. Let alone Ms. Beaton would have not been a single warning phone call to CBC News 957. Bounce Magic. I think there was some stuff going out on what is the radio station, the rock radio station in Truro. There was some stuff going out on that. I can't remember the name of the station. I think Mr. Beaton does like that. Transcripts replaced with summaries of transcripts. Summaries of summaries of summaries with inaudibles. With no video, no audio, no officer notes. Barbara Swiss, these families have lived with this info for months and couldn't talk about it. Yes. This one I can tell you 100%. True. True. That video. Where was it?
Perpetual clauses. A perpetual clause, as its name suggests, binds parties in perpetuity. Unless something occurs to terminate the clause, or make the obligations impossible to meet, the effects and corresponding rights will continue forever.
Forever. So if you think you're hearing anything, trust me, you're not. Nothing. You're not hearing anything yet. Wow. Heather and the family, taxpayer failed you. November 2021, I was saying that. Somehow then I saw something come up with that again later. Failed you, set a future record in doing so dreadful to live with this EG Fitbit data that have shocked us. Terrible. Terrible. These are the things that keep me up at night. Did not exit vehicle. So how did they determine Kristen was dead? Good question. If RCMP were at exit 13, Mortman had to travel Long Plains Road to Belmont. Hey, Kelly, late getting on, just back from airport pickup drop off. Raining hard in Aries. Well, please drive safe. I make it 6 people, maybe one at Canadian Press, who would pick up Hone that morning. Oh, phone and agree to feed stations. P.S. Safer for Ms. Beaton's daughter to be at the scene than anywhere else. Not sure if I'm quite following. The press, I would say the press is very good at running cover for these people. Heather, daughter, would have been with her mother at all the times. Hey, Ken, how's it going? Got Andrew. That one is now 785 pages. Oh, so the log changed. Is that what you're saying, Nikki? Wonderful. The 911 log changed. What the fuck? Okay. It was Heather O'Brien's daughter. Yes. Sorry, not Nick Beaton. I think that's where I was getting confused. At least they're pointing us in useful directions by omitting witnesses. Yes, the things they don't want you to look at. When they remove data, that's data you want to look at. Places they point you are the places they tell you never to go. And then the things that they do tell you, oh, look here, shiny things. Usually those are things to just kind of say, okay, thank you. Thanks for coming out. We're having the same nightmare. Is this real? Yes, we're all having the same nightmare. Well, I'm in the nightmare. So sad you guys are here. And very sad for all of these families. These guys must have had a busy 2 years. They couldn't pencil an interview to discuss the worst mass shooting in Canada's history. Meaning the Mass Casualty Commission? Well, they're going to say that they can't talk to people because it's against it's ongoing investigation. That would taint things. Oh, there's a lot of tainting. There's a comment. Light shone. Oh, light will shine. Have faith. Warden was long gone by then, even if it was just... again, what have we established? Wortman? Real fake police car? One person? What have you established? I'm not saying that to be defeatist or nihilist. I'm saying that to be look at things realistically. There is some data that you can establish, but it's more important to take apart what they say with their own words, rather than try to use what they have to build some kind of narrative. That doesn't work because they're trying to build one. MCC is disgrace beyond words. Well, these are the things. Pride. Wonder if the children and grandchildren, these people are going to be proud. Not sure. You know that they're not. Approximately 10:17, they shot up OBFD. That was next shooting, so EHS could have attended Plains Road according to that logic. Yeah. Waiting for the next event? What a ludicrous statement. We're only on day 11 of MCC, and nothing more than 20 months ago. We're so confusing, misleading, outright lie. So hard to believe. They can't even got to Onslow. Well, we're not even there at Onslow or Shuby, so it's just take things day by day, minute by minute. Is that what they say in AA to us? with their triage and chicken shit behavior holding back EMS. How many of the 23 died because the RCMP, it's not safe to wait until there's a new murder call? Well, I mean, they were there. You can't say that it wasn't them. They just didn't want to put EHS there or fire. And then just determined that was really nothing that they needed to come out to. It doesn't really seem to be supported by actual evidence. Why didn't any officer think and cut him off? 3 officers go to one area already left. Why not go after him and cut him off? Again, or how many people are you talking about? Who's doing the shooting? They had Millbrook on standby. So why not call them in to block the way out? Absolutely 100% true. Where are the containment points? Where are the containment points? Dion Sutton's statement, very interesting about this stuff. So unbelievable. Someone needs to clean up. Okay, more foul language. Thanks, Barbara Swiss. What a burden O'Brien's must have carried, e.g. Fitbit data. They all carry this kind of stuff, all the families, in perpetuity. Some of the stuff. They're like, huh? Can't ever talk about it. Can't ever talk about it. You hear me? Maybe they can't say that. I can. It was like chasing a ball instead of playing their positions like soccer. Wasted lots of time chasing, inspecting homes. Glenn Home, he was gone from there, as 911 said, but 3 cops came. They could have found out and then tightened the circle, made contact, nope, drove right past them twice. Oh, they drove past them more than twice. All these RCMP statements are very interesting to read. It's not just that they say that they drove past him. They're like, could have drove past him, waved at him. Person waved at me. I don't know. Could have been somebody. Is all effed. Someone with needs is conscious. How can boots on the ground be proud of the MS? Yeah. The what is the RCMP isn't looking so good these days, and the MCC is looking very bad for covering stuff up for them. And the media doesn't seem to mention certain things either, just kind of like at a end note. Their CTV thing. Oh, the O'Briens released a statement. Yeah. And we got a shiny thing over here. Next news story. Killer bees. Killer bees. Back from at the beginning. We learned something. Level BS going to cover up. CTV has upset the family article. Has the upset family article labeled as false news. Really? Oh, that's shocking. This is on, how does this work exactly? I don't know social media that well. False? So they just, is this some kind of thing that labels stories? False. False? False? Well, they're saying something about the New Jersey Devils or whatever team this is false. I don't get what's going on. Maybe you can explain to me. They've labeled it as fake news? Okay. Oh, there's a new article out about stuff. Do a video, write an article. Okay. When I spoke to tow truck driver on the cars, the VON nurses, he has since left job after 20 years, has trauma from the condition cars were in. You know, memories. A lot of phone calls. I remember. Peterson said he had brown hair. Gabriel Wortman was bald. I remember Cert okayed Onslow's shoot up like, wow, we're ready for another day of BS for that scene. That's going to be an interesting one. But at least nobody died. This one is just, I mean, all of them. And I could just tell you from my end, the phone calls I've had are hard over the years, this couple years from different families. It's tough. Hey, Kendall. At Elmsdale, he did, but other places seems he had hair. When did he get his hair cut on route? Well, that would be about the time that he had the car wash and the car repair and, time to press his pants, the RCMP pants, which then probably sew a stripe on them and change, maybe fix with some clocks. Sorry, he didn't have a hat on, but the picture of the Fishers, he had a hat on. Yeah. Hat. He could have taken the hat, but come on. How many inconsistencies do we need before we say, whoa, hold on a second here, we're really getting snowed? Who in the MCC, boots on the ground, has conscience, proud of the work? Okay, sorry, I highlighted that before. Thank you, Nikki. Very true. Two cars, two shooters equals mass confusion. Or more. But there's two cars, in my understanding thus far of reading. There's two marked cruisers. Let's just put it that way, marked cruisers. And they didn't even cover her up, let people stop and take pictures and videos. Yep, 100%. Yep. Not right. At least that it seems like that may have been something that might have been done right in this one. At least they got it removed. Links not worked all day, and they never were. Oh, good stuff. Do you think they'll cut it short today because the audience, Mr. Beaton and other family members, very upset? They seem to cut short so quickly, unexpectedly. No, I just think they knew exactly what was in those documents, and it's better just to kind of, hey, nothing to see here. You must be happy for a conclusion, as Burrow would say. You must be so happy we've come to a conclusion. We don't need to go through the document. You wind back because you won't believe the tragedy O'Brien is sitting on. They know it was only going on for 2 hours, 1.5 hours. I'm going to have to update the thumbnail. Or 30-minute included. Today was 30-minute break. Somebody I know is going through and totaling up times, so this is great. Then we can see kind of what is devoted to burnt stick with duct tape or geography lessons. Says male shot. Did they misidentify her? Yes, they did, I think. And that was not very nice to do, but given the circumstances, it's understandable. It's just not, it's tragic. It's time to just go all out with this. Now is the time. You're trying to send me signals here? Okay. I'm sure there'll be a time. Everything has a time and a place. Everything has a time and a place. Just catching up and converting source images to searchable docs works great. Great, good stuff. It's an extra step, but they haven't outsmarted us. No, OCR is good stuff. If your computer is happy and they don't delete all your text. Imagine what the friend of O'Brien heard with her on the phone. Don't want to. Well, I mean, but you have to. That's what keeps it real. Okay. Big Dog 100.9. Yeah, that's the station. They were putting out stuff. Sad to hear that the links didn't even work to begin with. I must confess, I didn't look. I just was tired and went to sleep. It was also announced RCMP need 11% cost raise. Oh, okay. That's good. Toronto EMS has body armor and special trained units to attend shootings. How many EMS workers have been shot? I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but that's not to say it didn't happen. Or are we just running around living in fear? RCMP have tactical medics, so why send them in to deal with casualties and use the Bearcat to bring patients to EMS safety spot? Okay. Where's the GPS RCMP cars? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Whatever that was that fell off my desk. Keep asking. Where is all the stuff? Where is all the stuff? Show me the money. RCMP decided narrative as soon as the FCC was started to explain away $30 million in wastage. Oh, I think we're way over 30 million. Way over. Between that and the glowy stuff, Todd. The glow is going to cost a lot. Yes, I saw that too. False news stories. Like plane crash with celebrity. I don't know what this false stuff is. He cut his hair while he napped and took off push bar, spread his dress uniform around, boots around. Yeah, none of that makes any sense. Oh my God. Hey, Mr. Penny. Does Cindy think? I don't know about that. Push bar on Sunday was not taken off when he napped. It's a white car, so it has to be him. It's a vehicle, white vehicle. Could be anything. RCMP recovered push bar bracket with airbag deactivator. Oh, I never noticed the recovered push bar bracket. I don't think I can recall the recovered push bar bracket. I'll have to go back and look at that. Lisa B said she could work on cars. Okay. Why are the family's lawyers not shouting from rooftops? Good question. Good question. I'd put it in there with show me all the stuff. Why aren't the lawyers asking? What's going on? Nah, I don't think I recall hearing that, Kelly. But I'm sure I can verify that. Anyway, okay. Thanks very much for joining me. Long day. And there's 10 days left to do work. Try to just say prayers for all these people, please. It's just not a good situation, any which way that you look at it. Even for the people who are doing the wrong things. Wow. God bless you all. Girl entered a picture of push bar bracket. Okay. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, if you don't mind. Okay, God bless you all. God bless the 23.